Yes, video start, sorry. Mike Baldwin.
Here.
Elizabeth Martinez.
Here.
Patricia Moore.
Yes, sir.
Peter Hernandez. Elsa Rodriguez. Two absent.
Okay, if we could please stand and do the flag salute. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah. Approval of the agenda.
I vote that we approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, discussion action items. 5A field trip to Sacramento, California for the AAA. We have in our packet a field trip request form for the AAA to go to Cedar Fort in downtown Sacramento. It is yes, in the state building. It is a two-day trip.
May 31st through June 2nd.
3-day trip. Okay. So it is recommended for the board to approve the overnight field trip request to Sacramento for teacher Lisette for the Accelerated Achievement Academy from May 31st to June 2nd.
I'll second.
Make a motion?
Oh, I thought I heard you. I thought I heard you make a motion.
No.
Okay,
I make a
That
motion.
Second?
and I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
But if they go gold panning and hit the mother load, do we get something?
Thank you for letting me go, bravo.
Yeah.
Hit another mother load.
Okay, item 5B is resolution number 22:15, 15-16. It is recommended that the board approve resolution number 22:15-16 in the matter of the preschool teacher layoff. Do we have a motion to approve?
I have a motion to
Resolution
approve.
number 22-15:15-16.
Motion that we approve.
Resolution.
Resolution 22-15-16.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 5C, Facility Committee Update, Proposed Sunny Slope Elementary School Master Plan. Mr. Padilla.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board. John Talia, Director of Facilities. Tonight, I will be updating you on a Facilities Committee update in regards to the proposed Sunny Slope Elementary School Master Plan. The first couple slides that we'll go through this evening will just provide you some historical information to kind of get us to where we're at tonight in regards to the status of the proposed project. In 2014, the district master plan priorities list identified $26.7 million worth of facility needs or improvements at Sunny Slope Elementary School. Some of those improvements included ADA compliance, new roofs, new fire alarm system, new exterior doors and hardware, controlled access and security, lighting upgrades, new paint interior and exterior, as well as flooring, and field and outdoor play structure improvements. The measure and bond funding, the board has designated $7 million of the measure and bond funds to modernize Sunny Slope Elementary School. The modernization originally, that original project consisted of the following: two new kindergarten classrooms, modernization or an update to the administration office, the existing one, new portable restroom building, new exterior doors and hardware, new fire alarm system, and other ADA upgrades. This is a site map of that original approved plan by the board for the modernization of Sunny Slope which in green shows you the new kindergarten classrooms, the new portable restroom building, and then some of the lighter blue areas for the modernization of the admin office and so forth. The Facilities Committee met back in March and discussed what was at the time the proposed project for Sunny Slopes modernization. And due to the proposed enrollment growth within the district and an uncertainty in regards to future funding, the Facilities Committee decided to approach the board with a recommendation to reconsider that project and look at possibly a revise or revision to the Sunny Slope original measure and bond project. If you recall, at the last board meeting, we did come to you, Facilities Committee, with a proposal. It would be a two-phase approach, utilizing the bonds funds that the board has designated, the $7 million for phase one. And then phase two would be contingent on additional funding in the future. At that board meeting, the board did accept the recommendation from the Facilities Committee and asked us to come back before you with more or less more detailed information as well as cost and design. So that's where we are tonight. I wanted to kind of go through the information that we've gathered since our last meeting and provide you an update on that. The phase one would happen in 2017 when the Series B bonds would be sold. That's when we would implement or start this project. Phase one would include a new portable admin office, staff lounge, one new portable restroom building, 3 new portable TK or K classroom buildings, 10 new portable classroom buildings, a new pickup and drop-off area, controlled access, as well as a new fire alarm system. So this is the proposed conceptual layout of those buildings for phase one. As you can see in the blue to the middle of the left there is the location of the new admin staff lounge. Just to the above that, and more or less the pinkish color is the existing multi-purpose room. And then you have the new kindergarten classrooms with the play area, 10 new classroom buildings, and then at the end of that last wing there, the green would be the new restroom building. So that would be the proposal for phase one. Phase two, again, depends on funding as well as the need for classroom space in the district. It would be the removal of existing portable classrooms at the site. It would be the installation or construction of a new library media center, increase to staff and visitor parking at the south end, new field and turf areas and asphalt play areas, as well as additional space for future expansion at the school site. So this site plan identifies the phase two, which you can see there are dotted lines that identify where the current or existing buildings are located. And the plan would be for those buildings to be removed and turf would be reinstalled in their place for the time being. So some of the benefits of the revised Sunny Slope modernization project for phases one and two would be there would be new buildings compared to the original proposed project that would meet ADA as well as current code requirements. The new admin building would provide adequate space and controlled access, unlike what they have today at the school site. There would be improvements for the new pickup drop-off and parking lot that would increase and improve pedestrian safety at the school site. The configuration establishes a more or less a TK configuration at the school site. Unlike today, it's a TK5 configuration at the school. By giving that separation between the upper and the lower grades on the same campus. It provides new and improved field and outdoor asphalt or concrete play areas, which, as you know, are definitely needed at that school site. A new fire alarm system would be included with this project, as well as it adds additional classroom space to accommodate future growth. Again, kind of leading back to the bond measures in November and the unknowns of some funding. So phase one, again, we're working with a budget of $7 million for the phase one. Phase two, we would be eligible for a little over, well, almost $4 million in modernization funding if the state school facilities bond is approved in November on the November ballot. There's also the possibility of using developer fees for this project. Future bond funds, if identified in the bond language for the new bond that the board is considering for November. Also, joint use funds could be a possibility as well. We have a lot of open space there that may be something that we want to work with our local partners in regards to some type of joint use facility. As well as there could be the possibility of a lease-back scenario if we wanted to go ahead and do phase two and none of the other funding was available. That is a possibility to work directly with a contractor and continue with our project, but make those payments over a period of time. So what I have for you tonight is I have a handout here. There are several options for phase one. So you'll see a phase 1A, option A, phase one, option B, and phase one, option C. You'll also see a phase two only with options A, B, and C. And then also in your packet, you have more or less a picture of what we're proposing for the admin staff lounge at Rancho San Justo. This would be very similar to what we'd be proposing for Sunny Slope Elementary School as well. The next picture is you'll see
The concept layout?
the concept layout would be very much the same.
Okay.
Yes. The next handout is just more or less a general schematic of a standard portable classroom, which is above grade with ramps and wood siding, which I'll explain as we go through the presentation here. And then lastly is a schematic drawing of the restroom buildings that we are going with as a standard with all of our projects moving forward. So these are for your reference as we go through the rest of the presentation this evening. So for phase one, option A, it gives you a breakdown on the cost estimates here of what that may cost to get the following items for option A. So that would include the admin building at grade, so that means it would not be ramped, it would be flush to the ground, with a plaster siding or more or less a stucco look and finish. Okay. Your standard portable classroom buildings would be wood siding, and they would be ramped, okay? The standard portable restroom building would also be wood siding, and they would be ramped. It would be ramped as well. And the estimated project cost, as you can see here, is just over $7 million. Now, as we go through each one of these options, I'd like to make a note that there is the opportunity for some savings to these costs that I'm presenting to you tonight, as we go through and investigate more and more of the site in regards to the soils, in regards to the existing power that is at the school site, we may see some savings. So there's monies in here for increasing the electrical load capacity to accommodate more classrooms and so forth. So if you recall from the last board meeting on Tuesday night, you approved the contract for an electrician to start monitoring those loads for us. So we're already starting that process here to kind of keep the project going forward. So again, as we find out the results of a lot of these tests, we'll be coming back to you with more solid numbers, more concrete numbers. But for tonight, I wanted to give you an idea of kind of the ballpark numbers we were looking at to get us where we want to be. So as you can see, just over $7 million for that option. And again, it would be an office that would look very similar to Rancho San Justo's. It would be portable classrooms with wood siding and ramps, basically the same classrooms that we're putting in at the HDLA for the expansion. And then the restroom building would be above grade ramps with wood siding. Option B is going to be an admin building at grade with plaster. It would be the standard portable classroom buildings at grade, but with wood siding. And let's see here, standard portable restroom buildings at grade with wood siding. I'm sorry, no ramps on those two. And then the estimated cost for that would be just over $8 million. That's $8.1 million. And then option C is basically all those buildings, but at grade and with a plaster finish. So they look more like a permanent building versus a standard portable classroom building.
When you say wood siding, are you talking about hardy?
It is similar to a hardy board, yeah.
Yeah, so it's more of a cement siding. Okay. That's all I'm asking, wood siding has.
There are some parts of it that are wood, but it's a mixture of the wood
But
and,
it lasts a long time.
as you can tell, we have portables that have been here a while, yeah. The phase 2 plan, if you look at that spreadsheet or that cost estimate, that would include a library media center building at grade with plaster, include the demolition of the existing classroom buildings, new turf areas, improved staff visitor parking, and that's estimated just over $2 million, $2.25 million. So when we add those together, we look at those options, phase 1 and phase 2 together. Phase 1 for option A, $7.1 million. Phase 2 would be $2.25 million. So the total for option A for phase 1 and 2 is estimated at $9.35 million. And again, the asterisk at the bottom denotes that there could be some savings as we go through with further investigation.
There could also be some surprises.
There could be, absolutely, yes. So for phase 1 and 2, option B for phase 1, $8.1 million, phase 2, $2.25 million, phase 1 and 2, option B total, $10.35 million. And then for option C, phase 1, $9 million, phase 2, $2.25 million, total for phase 1 and 2, option C, $11.25 million. And again, that is all flush to grade buildings, plaster siding, more of a permanent look versus the typical standard portable. This slide, I just labeled it phase 3. It's more or less this future, gives you just kind of an idea of what could happen on those existing turf areas, that we would have the ability to continue to expand at that school site. Again, that could be classrooms, that could be other opportunities, possible joint use, and so forth.
Was that done sort of to scale? I'm trying to think, visualize, imagine how those green spaces, how big they are. And if I'm looking at, I know 90 feet from home plate to first base, right?
Yes.
That's the only thing I have some frame of reference for. So you're looking at about the size of
As you can
the
see,
infield.
well, as you can see here, that is to scale. The dotted lines show where the existing buildings currently are located. So if we were to remove those, that's how much space we would have left at that site. So they are to scale. And it does give us, again, more turf or more green space, especially if we were to look at a K-8 model, where we would be increasing the capacity of our students, as well as it gives us opportunity more or less at the front of the school for continued growth, more classrooms, or other types of opportunities.
So would that scenario also help with some of the going of with the congestion as far as driving in, getting out? Because I mean, they mentioned at City Hall that that was going to be an issue, especially for Sunny Slope, once all that development up, out there gets done, and we're going to have people just flying by Sunny Slope. I got a feeling, and just the amount of cars going by there. We once we remove the buildings and we felt we needed to provide some more, area for people to come in and pick up, or, where it's on our campus and it's a little safer than on the street, for pickups or drop-offs. And just as a consideration, because I know with a lot of these schools, the traffic is just really, really bad in the morning and in the afternoon.
Yeah, so these are more conceptual at the moment. We are doing our investigations, obviously, on more of the infrastructure that's going to be needed to support this plan. But we have opportunities to make changes at this point. That's not a problem. We have looked in with the reconfiguration of the existing driveway or the new pickup drop-off. We have extended that to make it go down further. So the existing exit at the north end is actually moved down about another 20, 30 feet. So that increases more of the queue. And as well as the south end, we are planning on working on increasing the amount of parking spaces there. So as you know, the site currently at the corner there of Memorial and Sunny Slope has a lot of green space. We can actually take that back to the property line and add more parking and add more queuing area for visitors and parents and so forth to get in or get off the street safely and get onto the property so that the students have a safe place to
Because I know I've been there in the mornings driving by, and I know the parents are using the across the street where the doctor's offices are on, and they're dropping kids off on that side of the street, and then they gotta find somebody, with the light to cross the street over onto
There's a crossing guard
there's a
there.
crossing guard there, so I'm not sure if they, they get off corners or.
No, not all four, just the two contingent to the school.
Well, we are also looking at putting a pedestrian entrance up here, just on the southern portables there, just off of Sunny Slope, a pedestrian entrance, because there is a loading zone there currently on Sunny Slope. And we'd like to utilize that if possible, so that we give opportunity for parents to drop off there. Then they wouldn't even need to try to get into the parking lot. So that's one thing that we're working on. Hopefully we'll have that in over the summer for next school year. Also, there's a lot of things operationally that we can look at to try to eliminate or try to reduce the amount of congestion. We can look at maybe phasing some of the school start and end times for maybe the TK kindergarten, because the majority of those students, the parents drive them. And so with that being said, maybe we look at a later start time or an earlier start time, whichever it may be, so that we don't have 500 cars trying to enter and exit at one time in the morning and in the afternoon. So there are other things that we can look at as well, but we want to maximize the space that we have to work with, so that we can utilize every opportunity to gain parking, gain safe access to the school, and so forth. So this is the time to put those things into the plan.
Right, because I know Sunny Slope, I went to Sunny Slope when I was in kindergarten, but it's, the layout of it, just, has it been gradually shifting, or it just seems like it's sloping more, than when I was there in kindergarten. It just feels like it's you've got all these different levels everywhere on campus. And so is that going to be a problem for us?
We'll see.
Okay.
That's what our investigations are going to tell us. So we will have to do our soils sampling. We'll have to do our topography. We'll have to do all of those things that we do with all of our other projects. That may change some of the design.
Okay.
The big thing when you have elevation changes like that there's two things. There's drainage, and then there's also ADA. So those are things that we're going to look at to see how we can accommodate both of those. You're right, it does have a slope to it, and we want to make sure that our design takes that into consideration.
Okay.
I think we need to be realistic in the fact that when we're bringing in portable buildings, they're gonna be there for 30 or 40 years. So you want the best possible scenario, the one that's got the longest lasting possibility. So I mean, if we have to go for the more expensive choices now, in lieu of making them again in 10 years or 15 years, then I think we're need to bite the bullet and spend the money now.
And if I could just add, you know, we would love to be able to have permanent construction. That is the ultimate goal. Unfortunately, we're limited in funds, and we're trying to do the best that we can to provide as much improvements to all the schools within the district. And so that's why tonight I brought you with these scenarios for you to consider. You know, we can, if the decision by the board is to consider moving forward with looking at more of a fixed look portable, such as the flush to grade with the plaster siding, we will not be able to get 13 classrooms in an admin building, as I showed you, for $7 million. But what we can do is we can go back and we can say, well, how many classrooms can we get for $7 million? And they all are flush to grade, and they're all with a plaster siding, so it looks more like a more permanent type of facility. And we can bring that back to you. And that was one of the items here that I was hoping to have the board provide direction on tonight.
Especially after November. I think we'd have a lot more clarity to know and really pinpoint a decision once we know what happens after November.
Yes. Well, that brings up another question then. If we wait to finalize the design after November, then we probably won't be able to start in spring of next year. So the intent would be, from staff's perspective, is that if we can get approval to continue moving forward with the plan, and we would like to design the plan in both phases, have it approved by DSA as a full plan, but as funding comes in, we build according to funding. So we will know in November if there is additional funding, and if there's additional funding for us to do the entire plan or not. Because if we have $7 million with Measure M, and we're eligible for $3.7 million in modernization funds, we're almost at that $11 million, which was the option C for phase 1 and 2. So, so for clarity for tonight, I would just like to request from the board if you would like us to continue with our detailed investigation of the phase 1 and phase 2, with the intent of doing the more permanent or the option C buildings versus the A and B, and I can come back at the next board meeting and give you a realistic idea of an estimated cost of how many buildings we could actually get for $7 million if there's no additional fundings in November. And then at least that way the board can direct us and say, yes, continue moving forward or not. But we at least will be able to continue with our plan set and hopefully get approvals through the state.
I also think, though, that capacity is going to be an issue, but I would like to see us be able to get as many classrooms as possible. You know, is there an option D, plaster siding on an elevated?
Yes. Yes.
And I probably reckon that's about the $8 million mark.
I'd have to go through and double check.
I didn't know if it was even an option because plaster lasts so long, and that's what would really save. Having been in the building business, the single biggest thing is water intrusion will ruin the building. Other than that, we think the plaster is very impervious to water. wheels do turn though.
Do you want the chipper chicken?
I agree with Pat. You know, if we do this, this is it. They're gonna need to last. They're gonna need to last. And, you know, they're about $1 million separating each one. 7, 8, 9 of a difference. So,
If you do lease backs, then we've got some,
wiggle room.
we've got some, what am I trying to think? It's gone.
Well, the option of payment, you know, and fitting our needs as far as being able to pay for those options.
Yeah.
So,
John, looking at student page on phase 1, you said there was 10 classrooms in the restroom? Yep. 10 classrooms in the restroom?
That's correct.
Up.
13,
Up there.
it's a total of 13.
Yeah, but is that a storage at the end of the
Oh,
horizontal?
no, that's Kinder's.
There is a storage. There's a storage.
Okay.
yeah, and then the green is the bathroom.
That's
I knew the green was bathroom, I was counting.
Yeah, because I mean, as far as that side, if, you know, our custodian room, supply room, we want to have our custodian going from one
No,
side
absolutely.
of campus
I
to
agree.
the
No,
other side of
that's
campus to
easy. Easy to
cleaning.
understand.
Yeah,
It's quite a walk from,
it's a large campus. It is a large campus.
John, what is in your professional opinion, the length of longevity from a cement siding, wood siding to plaster? What is the difference in longevity?
Well, I think it comes down to maintenance. That's really the big deal. If it's properly being maintained, then, you know, obviously you're gonna get longer lasting with the plaster, but, you know,
Like our
it's hard to put
I know, I'm not
Now
asking you to say
years.
you're gonna give me 17.2 more years.
yeah. You know, the plaster finish gives it more of a finished look, and it looks more like it's permanent construction. And you know, it looks more like a fixed asset that the district is investing at the school site. Portables are very common, as you know. I mean, we have over 125 up there throughout the district today. And again, we are limited with our funds. We don't have very many options in regards to other types of construction. So, you know, we are replacing classrooms in this scenario with basically better construction today versus the ones that we're replacing. The ones that we plan to demo or replace in the future have way exceeded their life expectancy. And so we need to do something at that school site. Whether we invest the money in the existing old buildings, which we have 3 fixed buildings there, the main office and 2 other wings, or we demo those 6 buildings, which would be 3 of the portable buildings and 3 of the fixed buildings, and build a new campus, as we've got here, out of portables.
the current office area at Sunny Slope,
Yes,
is that a fixed building?
it is.
And that's gonna go away
In phase 2.
in phase 2? What is this structural, integrity of that building? Is it still inside a good, good building, or, I mean, how are its bones?
Well, you know, the assessment says that it does have solid bones still. The problem is when you get into it, there's a a lot of other factors such as there's lead paint, there's asbestos. Just due to the year that it was constructed, 1962, the materials that were used to construct the buildings there, we're going to spend a lot of money just abating those. Just abating those buildings to get them in safe condition or to meet today's codes and requirements so that we can repurpose them or reuse them.
Then I think we should look at the new area over there, in yellow as, it's a new heart to the school. And I think it needs to reflect some pride and some, the lastingness of Sunny Slope, because Sunny Slope has been around quite a while. And I think we should like the bullet and pray.
I do too.
You what?
We have faith.
Well, you know, it all depends on the
Which options
colors.
would you like to see? Here.
Oh, option C.
That's what you would recommend.
He wants pride in his accomplishments.
Yeah, yeah.
I think we should,
Make a motion.
do we make a motion? Okay, then I will move that we move ahead on option C.
I'll second
for
that.
Sunny Slope School.
I'll absolutely second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere, you don't want to.
I still get tickles when those kids over there at Sunny Slope, there's something about them that, you know, they're so cute.
Now the next one is 5. Okay, you got a minute. Ready? Go.
Is anybody gonna get finished? Ain't none here now.
Okay.
We're gonna have to put in a direct access to the bathroom.
It drinks a lot of water.
Are you gonna include the, something on the
It's not on the
measure
agenda.
and bond and maintenance budget?
It wasn't on the agenda.
Oh.
So it's just, he's
FYI.
using this. I can always bring it back on one of the updates, you know, at the next board meeting, and just, if he wants to publicly make that, we can put it on the agenda.
And your other show in town, is that for us or is that from the previous?
No, it's actually pretty good. These are just some of the materials that we are proposing to use for the various projects. So I thought the board would be interested in kind of taking a look at that.
What is the color of the decade?
Color of the decade?
You know, there's always,
Which decade?
there's always a color, I don't know how long it lasts for. Most places, by the time they move into that color scheme, then it's on its way out. But, you know, at one time it was mauve, and that was, when was that? And then it was teal. And so I don't know, clairvoyance was.
Okay, next item on the agenda is, sorry. 5D, proposed new school site conceptual designs for Santana Ranch.
Thank you. So with the board approving the draft resolution for the bond measure for November 2016. I thought it would be appropriate to bring to the board this evening some proposed new school site conceptual designs. We've been working with our architectural firm, IBI Group, in regards to what could possibly fit at the school site. So again, these are very conceptual plans this evening that I'll be presenting to you. It's again to start the conversation, but with the intent that with each meeting as we go through, hopefully we can get to a point where the board identifies a design that they're in favor of, so that they can direct staff to continue with that design and move forward. It would be nice and beneficial, I believe, for the district to have a plan in place, especially if we were to promote the construction of a new school site in November. It'd be nice for the community to see what the board has envisioned for that new school site. So this is kind of the first of many presentations that you'll see on this item as we go forward. I did give you your own individual conceptual design plans there to review. They'll also be in the PowerPoint.
Did Katie get one of those?
No.
We have color.
You want to take one, please? Oh, that would be great.
Here, Katie. Here, take mine.
I don't think I made enough for the crowd. So the proposed new school site, which is located in the Santana Ranch development, it is 12.25 acres. We're proposing a TK through 8th grade school configuration. Proposed school capacity would be just over 900 students. I will point out, and you'll see this later in the presentation, there's a new 5.7 acre County of San Benito Park adjacent to the proposed new school site. It's not developed yet, but that site is identified for a future park. The estimated costs that we are getting from our architect as of today is around $52 million for the new school. 52.
How much is that up from a couple years ago? 40.
No, a couple of years ago, it was, I believe we looked at $25, $26 million. So
That's when a lot of people needed work.
Yeah.
some of the items that we have been going through to confirm that the site will be acceptable to build a school on. I've identified here for you to kind of give you an update, and each one of these items have been brought to the board, and the board has approved consultants and so forth for us to get this information to pass on to the appropriate agencies. So we conducted a PG&E natural gas pipeline risk analysis. That is completed. That has been submitted to the Department of Toxic Substances and Control, which I'll refer to as DTSC. That department also requested preliminary geotechnical investigation, which has been completed. A geologic and seismic hazard assessment has been completed. Phase 1 environmental site assessment has been completed. And the preliminary environmental assessment, which, if you recall, at the last board meeting on Tuesday, there was a public hearing on that item. The information has since been sent back to DTSC. There's a 30-day review period from them. If they have no other findings, then we are hoping that they approve that PEA. If they do, then DTSC will sign off on the site, and we will be complete with the requirements from that agency for that site. The saltwater treatment plant facility risk analysis has been completed. If you recall, prior to us starting a lot of this work towards investigating the school site, that water treatment facility was very small, and it's been expanded now to accommodate the development that's happening throughout the city. And with that being said, there are now more chemicals, more quantities of chemicals, such as chlorine being stored there. And so since it's across the street from the school site, the California Department of Education required us to have a facility risk analysis performed on that, as well as the two water towers, which were referred to as the Fairview Towers there at the eastern end of the Santana Ranch property. So that has been completed.
Who does that, who owns that plant? Is it a county facility or is it a privately owned facility?
It is the Sunny Slope Water District. They operate that plant. I believe the federal government owns that land that the plant is on, but Sunny Slope Water Company is actually the operator. We're currently in the process of the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA. We have agency putting that together for, consultant putting that together for us. Basically, the last piece they need to finalize their report is more or less the school site layout, because that's very important in regards to looking at traffic patterns, more or less where your entries and exits are for your driveways, the amount of students that we expect, those types of things. So once we give them a general layout of how the school we feel is going to be positioned on the school site, then they can finalize that report, and then that will be out for public comment and review. And then the California Department of Education, or the CDE, once the CEQA has been cleared, then the CDE will have the last checkoff, if you will, on the site. If they approve the site, then the next step would then be to negotiate the purchase of the site with the existing owners. Okay.
After all this, what if they don't approve it? Then we ask for another available place?
Well, that's a great question. You know, we've been having meetings with the San Benito County Planning Commission, as well as the San Benito County Planning Department, City of Hollister Planning Department, City of Hollister Planning Commission. In regards to that specific question, is if this site is not approved by CDE, what other sites are available? And you know, as you know, a lot of available space is being taken by the new residential developments that are happening throughout the city and the county. And yes, we may need 12 to 18 acres, depending on what type of school we build. But going through this process here, there's very few areas left that would possibly meet the approval of CDE. I mean, we're dealing with an area of very high seismic activity that we live in. We have flood zones. We have, land that was formerly farmed, so that we have to deal with possible pesticide abatement and those types of things. From my understanding, with the Department of Toxic Substances and Control and the CDE, that the site at Santana Ranch that we have been working towards confirming is, for the most part, a fairly clean site compared to other sites that they see and have to review. That site was dry farmed for many, many years, dating back to, we have aerial photos from the 1930s.
Yeah.
It's just pretty much hay.
Yeah.
And so that is a huge help for us as far as the site being what they consider clean. It does have naturally occurring asbestos, which the DTSC has required the district, and it will be in the report, that we will have to have an ongoing plan to monitor that, and it has to be reviewed, updated on an annual basis. So if there's any type of underground work being done after the school is built in certain areas, then we have to properly handle whatever that may be in regards to safety of not only the personnel that may be doing the work, our students, the community, that type of thing. For example, if a water main breaks, you know, it's 10 feet down in the ground, well, that may fall within that naturally occurring asbestos zone. So therefore, we would have to have somebody that would specify in dealing with that to address that situation. It's not something where we just go and dig up and fix and put back. And we would have to document that and so forth. So this will be a requirement moving forward from DTSC that we have this living document or plan on file as we move forward. And from my understanding, this is not something new, and this is not something out of the ordinary. So it's just a requirement, and it's as a result of what is at the actual site. So let's get into the good stuff. Let's get into the design plans. So the first design I'm going to show you, it is located just on our 12.25 acres, the site that's been identified for a school. It includes an administration building, library and media center, 36 classrooms, they're 2-story buildings, a gymnasium, 87 parking spaces, 3 baseball or softball fields, and 8 regulation basketball courts. Those are the outside. So that is the conceptual design for the phase 1 or design 1. And I can point out some of these things here. So this is the 12.25 acres. This is Sunny Slope. This is Fairview Road. Okay, Fairview Road, Sunny Slope. Down at the bottom of the property here is a stormwater basin. Our property starts from that point up. What we have here is we have a gymnasium. We have our admin building. We have a library media center. And we have basically 2 rows of 2-story classroom buildings, outdoor basketball courts. We have parking coming on both sides of the campus there. And then this is the 5+ acres for the county park. Okay. This would be the kinder play area, as identified here. Then there's also some other play areas as far as play structures for other upper grades. So the design 2, again, admin building, library media center, 36 2-story classrooms, gymnasium, 87 parking spaces, 3 baseball, softball fields, but only 6 regulation basketball courts. So kind of similar to the first design 1, except you have your admin over here, your library media center over here, your gym at the other end. You've got your kindergarten classrooms here with the kinder play area. Other types of play structures here. Same parking configuration as design 1. Your ball fields down here, or open green space, and then the county. So design 3 is a conceptual design of a joint use type of plan with the county of Santa Anita. So this would be incorporating the county park with the school site. So we'd be close to 18 acres combined if that were to happen. We have been having conversations with the county. The county is very open to this idea, and that's why I'm bringing it to the board tonight as a design option for consideration. This design 3 would be an admin building, library media center, again the 36 2-story classrooms, the gymnasium, 83 parking spaces, a regulation track and field, 3 baseball, softball fields, 6 regulation basketball courts, and 2 regulation tennis courts. So as you can see, there's a lot more availability here with with this design 3 or this conceptual plan. Again, the dotted line kind of shows the separation between the park and the school site. If there were to be a joint use, agreements could be crafted in a way that the school could have use of the park side during school hours, and then after hours, the general public would have access to the school site as well. As an example, there could be some shared use of costs. There could be some shared use of maintenance, but it creates a real asset for the community in that side of town. You benefit a lot with a lot of available not only space but also other types of athletic fields and so forth. And then design number 4 again is similar with the joint use, but the change to this would be 113 parking spaces. So this actually has the most parking spaces out of the previous 3 designs. And again, it has 3 softball fields, regulation track and field, 8 basketball courts, and 2 tennis courts. So this one has the track and field more or less on the park side. You have ball diamonds or green space here on the school side. You've got your administration building here, your library media center here, your gymnasium. And you've got your 2-story classroom buildings with more or less a courtyard here. You've got your kinder play area here. This type of configuration is actually a benefit to the school in regards to if there's joint use or there's just after hours use of some of these public spaces, such as the gym. We have use of facilities and so forth. I would imagine that this gymnasium would be utilized for that fashion, similar to Rancho and Maze are today. Again, the location or proximity to the parking is a benefit, so that after hours, the general public does not need to access the school site. They have just access to more or less areas of public use, such as the gym or maybe the library media center, something like that. And then the rest of the campus can be closed off, more or less the interior. So again, the community would have the benefit of this section after hours, and during school hours, the school would have the benefit of utilizing the space.
But we don't know exactly how much the county would be willing to invest as far as what their plans are in development. You know, what their thoughts are as far as, you know, what kind of, you know, because you were saying they're thinking about putting a park, but do they have ideas of what they want in the park versus accommodating our needs and what we need in a school?
They do. We've had that conversation. In the Santana Ranch Master Plan, it identifies items that need to be in that park. Obviously, the plan was developed a number of years ago, so their standards and so forth have changed. But meeting with the county planning department, who is handling this development here, they have said that they want to have some type of track. They want to have a play structure. They want to have lights on their park, and they want to have a restroom building on their property. So we had asked them for those specifics, which I have made a copy of the Santana Ranch Master Plan and gave that information to IBI Group, who developed these concepts, for them to incorporate the requirements out of that plan into this plan. The developers are required to develop the park on behalf of the county. So the county is very open to looking at how they can create the best use of that site. And since it is adjacent to our site, how can it possibly benefit both of us and the community? So we actually gain a lot more parking with the shared use. We gain a lot more field space, a lot more other types of amenities versus the 12.25 acres or the design 1 and 2.
Can you go back to the other, with this design, with the track area and play area, that would be available for use when school is in session, is it?
That's possible. Yeah, again, the agreements would have to be.
Whereas with the other, with the track at the bottom, where, that one, access to that.
It does extend over into the park. I mean, it can be shifted. And again, these are conceptual ideas. This is
Yeah.
just to kind of give you an idea of what can fit, what can't. Are there things that you think we've left off that we need? Are there things that you think we don't need? That's kind of the topic tonight is just seeing what can fit and what can't. This site is very challenging. You were talking about Sunny Slope and it being sloped. We do not have a balanced site or a level site here. And with the naturally occurring asbestos, it's making it even more challenging for us to get a site that is going to be able to work for any type of construction. So this site, the 12.25 acres, will primarily be a tiered site. Okay, so you're going to have different levels on this site. And why I say that is because we're limited to how low or how much soil we can actually take out because it has naturally occurring asbestos. So there would be a cost for us to have that off-haul or export it out. And then if we want to level the site, we've got to import clean soil. So that all adds to the price of the development, the development of the school. And so it is tricky when we talk about how we're going to design it architecture-wise. When you're talking about tiers like this, you're talking, again, drainage, you're talking about ADA. The 2-story classrooms help with the fact that there would be an elevator probably in each one of these wings. So that would help us to that effect. But if we were to go just 1 story on the 12.25 acres, it would take up this whole area here to get 36 classrooms.
Right.
So then you're very limited on green space there. So again, not to say we have to do 2-story, but to get the most out of our space, it's ideal, and the 2-story actually lends itself better on a tier type of approach versus the single story.
I like mixing the use with the county. So shows the collaboration anyway, but it's also gives us so many more options. It really does.
You know, when we started accepting more kids at HDLA, they have, at the facilities planning meeting, they have been coveting this site as a school for them. However, I fully feel that every community needs a community school. And with any of these drawings, it just does not lend itself to being 2 schools on that site as far as I can see. So that's kind of a pickle. I mean, granted, they don't have to, I'm sorry?
I don't think HDLA would ever be, let's just say, a ranch that's designed for more capacity. It would be behoove us to add, to move a school there right away.
Well,
It's already existing.
they want their own school,
Yeah, we've had this debate.
separate
already.
And I know that I've
from the others. And but in your community, the kids, they love their schools. And if they need to be built where they live so that they can use them after school. They can go
And see,
over
what's
there and,
unique about the HDLA and the AAA is that they're they come in from all over
Exactly.
town. And they represent, everyone in our community. And so
But that's a choice that they
it
made.
is a choice. It is a choice to.
Whereas
be there.
if you're buying a house there, you expect, if they're building a school, this is the school that my kid's gonna be going to.
Right. But I think, in that debate of looking at this school and what is our plan for these two schools, two entities? Because right now, we know we're at capacity
Mhm.
with both of them. And both feel they're imposing on the site and the other school, that so-called belongs to the other kids. So how do we manage all of these things and the need of another school without being fair to them? Because we made a choice to continue supporting the AAA and the HDLA. So we have to continue having that in mind as far as growth. What is the plan then for that? So, and where do we plan on placing them permanently? Because that's, we're talking about
Keeping them
the
as,
school.
It just needs to be kept.
Because,
keeping them as separate schools.
well, the idea when we were talking to them was thinking there was a big possibility that we could move them to this school. That was something we talked about when we had our open forums and
Yeah.
discussions with them.
And they've got that in their mind that this is definitely going to be happening.
Well, because we kind of as a board gave them that vision.
Yeah. Well, is there, when you duplicate schools like that, even on the same property, you duplicate services. Because you have two offices that you have to, have two libraries, media centers, but, they want to be felt whole. And it just, it's
How do we
clear
honor
that there's a scarcity of
How do we
resources.
honor that?
I'm sorry?
How do we maintain that and how do we honor that?
I don't know.
Because, the joint use, there are a lot of great things with joint use because it readily gives us access to things we couldn't do independently.
Funding, everything.
But, having had some experience on that other side with that piece and not it benefiting us has been an area of concern. Because the school has ended up being the person that's kind of at the losing end. Because we've got all the maintenance, we've got all the issues with the rent and all, the facilities use and everything, tracking all of that. And then even having, like right now, we don't have enough downtime just to maintain our field. And that, with water, we don't know how it's going to be with water as well. We're still in restriction mode, so how is that? That's affected our fields. So the fact that we can water 2 days a week, our fields are stressed, and then in the summertime, the use and the wear and tear, there's no downtime for our guys to maintain these fields to look how they need to look, especially, maize with all the gophers and the squirrels. It's become a hazard for some of our kids, so they've been getting hurt and Calvers, same thing. So it's how do we work together without, and I want a true partnership. So we're in it together so that
With
we're
the county.
not on the losing end
As far as with the county,
as far as with anybody moving forward. Because I don't want resources and monies from our kids, being pushed into this and our people having to maintain it without it being a fair deal.
That's right, John will have a calculation for you.
I think John's just looking for some direction as to how to proceed, though.
Exactly.
I know on the slide here, I've asked for the board to provide staff some direction. You know, the second major bullet point there was, should the district continue discussions with the county in regards to joint use? If that is something that you'd like to consider, I can arrange to have county planning department representatives come to the next meeting to speak to that fact. But I didn't want to pursue that at this point because I wanted to know if the board was interested in or not with us continuing having this conversation. And again, the conversations, again, it's conceptual. They wanted to see what they could benefit as well from a joint use. So if that is something that you'd like to continue to explore, but maybe not necessarily end up doing, but at least exploring, and then you have some comfort hearing from that agency as well in regards to their intent and their opportunity to partner with us.
So the builder will be responsible for creating the park area.
That's what the master plan says.
Okay. So the county doesn't have to say, well, we can't afford it.
So you put all the high dollar items in.
These are conceptual.
I mean, obviously it makes sense. I just, I want to enter into any joint facilities cautiously. Just from, because when you see joint venture on some of these signs and you go drive by there and they're falling apart, it really does not look well on either part. And so it just, I know when the recession hit, it hit both ends extremely hard. And, we've been struggling trying to recuperate from that. But I definitely I don't want to unnecessarily burden our people as well, because it's a lot of work for our guys. It is a lot of
Well,
work.
obviously,
And
have
for
to have
John
more
and
staff
his
to
office and his staff.
maintain.
Just the facilities use alone with the community is a lot. It's a lot. But then, it's our property that we have to ensure it's being taken care of and it stays in good condition for generations to come.
I'd like to hear from county.
The county.
Yeah. I'd like to.
Because these designs are beautiful. I mean, without a doubt. If this,
I really like K.
I really like K as well.
Which one?
Features 4,
K.
the last one.
That's,
The one with the track on the.
On the top versus
Yeah.
the back.
The last one.
right.
Just for access, if, people want to,
Parking,
Use it and-
access, usability,
yeah,
control to access would be easy.
yeah.
Yeah.
It would be.
You read things in Facebook about, mothers groups that they go out, with the strollers and roll their babies and create a social. When the kids get out. I know around my house, they're walking in the street because of the ups and downs of the sidewalks. So they have a nice track that they can get to in the mornings. And the older folks too, we don't do so well on uneven surfaces.
Well, it's funny because you can look, like right now, you can go out to a rancho and see people walking the track and jogging the track. And it's nice to have that, and that's a part of rancho, right? And their culture is having that access there. And I think Indiana Ranch would be an awesome opportunity to really showcase this county.
Especially with lights.
Oh, yeah. All the LED lights, I mean.
Is there a way we could get like a global picture of kind of the layout of the homes and the school to kind of really get a better picture
I'll have that together for you.
But yeah, I think for me, and that, I mean, if we can mitigate some of those concerns, and we know very well what they are. And if it works for us, and we think that it wouldn't overly burden us as a district and our people, then I'm on board.
Couple more items here just for clarity. You know, the school in any of these designs can be constructed in phases. So again, as funding comes in, so if we go to the public in November for a $36 million bond, and the price tag's $52 million, you know, obviously we can't build the entire site out. So again, we could build in phases as funding comes in. And, you know, initially, the 1,100 homes just in this one development won't be done tomorrow. You know, it's a several-year project. And so if it even is a phasing type of scenario, then it accommodates more or less the growth as it happens in that community. Now, if it's designated as a school specifically for one of our schools today, then that's a different story because we would have to build to accommodate that enrollment that would be moving. So I just wanted to point that out for clarification. But we do have, with this type of scenario, we do have the ability to build in phases.
There's still a lot of balls in the air on this one as far as getting that bond approved, getting the measure, you know, like hinging on November.
Yes, the state facilities bond is very important as well because then there could be matching funds for the new construction, which would be a huge benefit for us. So it's important that both of those bonds are successful in November.
Now, would you be looking at artificial turf on the football field?
You know, that's a great question.
Is that what we're considering that to be in the middle?
Not
A
necessarily.
football
Okay.
field,
Not necessarily.
Okay.
It's I put regulation, but I didn't put all weather track and field. So, and there's a reason for that because the state is currently doing studies in regards to the rubber mulch used in a lot of these synthetic turf fields, and so there is a halt on any type of new construction with that until that study is finalized. If you are already in the process prior to, I believe, January 1st of creating or constructing field with synthetic turf, then they allowed you to continue to finish the project. But they're not approving any projects right now until that study comes out and they see what the results are from that. I do know that there's companies out there looking at other types of products that don't involve the rubber mulch. And again, as we get closer and see what options would be available, because again, we have an issue with rodents, we have those types of things, and that's a lot of green space there to maintain and to water. So, but yes, for clarification, that is not an all-weather track and field. It's regulation size. Okay.
which we need in this county anyway. We have 1, 2, high school.
Let's see here. And in regards to the construction, the 1-story versus the 2-story, you're open to the 2-story concept?
Yeah.
Okay. And again, this is, the pricing here is based off of a modular type of construction, but we're also looking at other types of construction right now. So again, conceptual, just to kind of get the idea. And this gives us good direction to continue with refining some of these items and come back to you with more information as well as representatives from the county to talk about their interest in partnership.
see it get some down on the bottom floor when the group on the second floor. I mean, I went to two-story high school, and I don't remember that being a problem, but it was a completely constructed old building.
It's pretty common. These buildings are used.
The technology they have now with insulation and stuff is amazing.
Yes.
Are we okay with direction?
Yes. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
It looks cool.
You said an hour and 5 minutes.
I know. Okay, so, as far as the agenda, I think, is that it? Because I know, so this is just for our FYI, once we adjourn, and then they'll kind of show us what's going on.
Yeah, that was all that we had.
So if we can have a motion to adjourn,
I will motion that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.